What's going on, guys? We're back. I've been saying this a lot lately. We got a special video coming up, but this one really is because there's a couple clips in here that I found that are there's some of the most recent combat footage, but also they really show what the environment is like, the current combat environment in Ukraine. So this is going to be badass. So real quick before we jump into it, you guys know who I am. If you don't, my name is Saxon. I go by Vegas here in Ukraine. Was in the International Legion. I joined in January of 2023. Since then, I've been in. I was only there for a handful of months. Left, came back, joined Azov, and helped start the International Battalion where we deployed last summer. And I've been in Ukraine ever since. So that's kind of my thing. If you're interested in coming to Ukraine, you want to help fight, maybe you don't want to fight, you want to volunteer, anything like that, you've got to jump into our Discord. It is one of the largest resources for foreigners coming here to Ukraine right now. Um, we've got a ton of, again, different resources in there, things like different recruiters for different units, different foreigner friendly units. Channels about how to prepare physically and mentally and all that shit. So check it out, link in description. We also keep all of our uncensored content there in an archive for our paid YouTube members. This is the best way to support me and what I do here in Ukraine. Okay, that's really all I got. We can jump into it. I wanted to give you guys just a quick little snippet of a news article I read this morning about a strike. There was a family. It was a young mother and father of three toddlers, newborn babies, three of them. They must have been, I believe, they're triplets. Today there was a rocket strike in western Ukraine, and it hit where that family was living. It killed all three toddlers and the father, leaving the mother alive. Okay, so I hope that my frustration and sadness and anger towards this stuff, could be nowhere near the frustration and anger that this mother shares, right? I hope this can be portrayed through some of my content, and we can make this channel large enough that people keep Ukraine on the forefront of their mind and what's happening here, and not let people forget that there is awful atrocities happening here to an amazing culture and people and country by the largest terrorist in the world, Vladimir Putin. Let's go. This first video I've got here it just reminded me to show you guys what soldiering is 90% of the time. This is what the job is.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to mute it because of the music they play. But there's a lot of there's this misconception that being a soldier is like 80% gunfights and then 20% drone fights, and then you go home, call it a day, and that was a good day at work. Sorry, my bad. This. Nope, still music. Especially, I know this is the case for soldiering all over the country, or all over the world, right? But if you are in the infantry here in Ukraine, this is what 90% of your day-to-day is going to look like. This is what your infills to your positions are going to look like. This is what your exfills are going to look like. Just walking, and then sometimes running, and then walking, and then sometimes fast walking, and then sometimes fast running away from drones. So this is pretty interesting, though. This is a team, I believe they're marksmen, but they've also got a sapper on the team, and he opens fire right here on some unseen enemies. He's got a pretty massive optic on his rifle, though, so he probably sees something that we can't. Man, I hate that they got to put music in the back of these. Sweet rifle, too. That looks like a UAR-10, possibly, or just an AR-10. But so They're engaging, there's two of them, they're engaging somebody across that field. And after that, I don't know if they eliminate the threat, if they're shooting at a drone, what. But they are working on disposing of, I believe, an unexploded FPV that landed in their vicinity with a like some det cord and a little fuse. Still music. And he's speaking English too. This guy's speaking English. He has an accent, but so I'm really curious. That's the ordnance right there. You could actually see that's exactly what that is. That's an FPV. It's upside down, and on the bottom of it, facing up, is the RPG-7 warhead. This is the same ones that would chase us around in Donbass. The same one that almost took my head off, rang my bell, concussed the hell out of me. These, in my opinion, are the most dangerous version of an FPV that you could run into. This exact kind right here. So because we can't hear it, I'll kind of skip forward. He pulls the pin out of that little fuse. They run back. Get into cover. Boom. So that kind of hold on. So that another reason I wanted to show that one was because it kind of validates my my point that I've made in other videos about soldiers here having to be jack of all trades, right? Your marksmen are also your recon element, and they're also your sappers, and they're also your anti-drone element. And I mean, everybody is everything because you have to do everything out there because everything is always happening to you out there, right? If at the very beginning of this, you were able to have, you know, a larger unit moving to positions, maybe even like, you know, 10 to 20 people. You have your designated positions, your marksmen, your sappers, your anti-tank, stuff like that, anti-armor, and you could call them up and they can move and do their job when needed. But now, because you're always being surveilled, you're always under constant drone threat, everybody has to know everything to get that current job, whatever they are faced with, get it done quickly and continue moving. This, we watched some of this the other day, but it's just some of the most recent, but also some of the best footage I've seen lately. This is Omega team. Omega is one of the most elite units within Ukraine currently. It's a TM62 tank mine that was dropped and obviously didn't explode. You could tell by the way it's packaged that a drone, a Baba Yaga, was carrying that. We'll see an example of that later in this video. I've seen a lot of that out there.
Вы хотите жить будете, сейчас разъебашим нахуй. Вот там ТМ-ка. Если что, сейчас поднесем, просто кинем ее, блядь.
Зараз я приготую, командир.
Давай.
Зведена та готова до бою.
Сейчас попробуем положить подарок под дом. Все, погнали этот.
Kupiansk. This was in Kupiansk, which is where I was in 2023. We deployed to Kupiansk in March 2023, but I didn't ever spend much time in the city like where this actually is. I was on the outskirts, the eastern part in trench lines out there.
Дивіться акуратно, акуратно, бо я прострелюю.
Давай ее взорвем нахуй.
Плюс.
That was jeans. The dead guy on the ground.
Так, мужики, смотрите. Мы когда тут были, начали контролить этих долбоебов, оттуда по нам была стрельба. Возможно, вот эта вот красная хуйня,
Sorry, I know that's probably loud as
может
hell.
быть и не там. Это дом, я ебашил туда гранаты, оттуда по нам отстреливали. Да. Оттуда была стрелкотня. Парни, отходим.
Oh, this is okay. This was the operation where they planted that tank mine. My bad. Let me clarify that. They planted that there were two anti-tank mines taped together and wrapped and taped together at the very beginning that I said was probably dropped from above Yaga. I believe they take that to an enemy position and plant it. They're like a sabotage team.
Старший брат может работать. Пускай работает старший брат.
Ебать. Даже фундамента нету.
You see this approach of rather than going in and clearing really like hard positions, like solid stronghold positions, they just blow that shit up instead, or they try to collapse everything on top of it because any strong position in Ukraine right now in the battlefield is underground. Otherwise, drones annihilate it, and artillery and whatnot, cabs, which are glide bombs. So everything's underground. So if you can suppress the enemy, make sure they're not watching you, you can approach, you can plant explosives on the top and collapse it in on them. That is becoming much more it's much more widely used currently, and I say that because I have a couple buddies who recently did a very similar mission, but on top of a bunker that was outside, like in a tree line, and they already lost a couple of guys trying to assault it, so they ended up putting basically anti-tank mines on top and collapsing it on the Russians. Okay, this I want to show you guys because we're starting to see a lot more anti-drone drones and drone interceptors, which are anti-drone drones, drone on drone fights, drone dog fights, basically. This is a good example of that. Hold on. Oh, okay, there's no music on this one. So these ones that lay on the street to ambush. Okay, these are they're just killing people now, but before, hold on, we can't show some of that. The main thing I wanted to show was the anti-drones. Yeah, like this. So you've got drones like this, for example, which might be like a Delta Wing or some kind of a wing variant, which is thousands and thousands of dollars, and they're blowing these up with interceptor drones that cost a couple $100s. So these are huge, ratioed fights, right? So if you could blow something up with that is really cheap and what you're blowing up is very expensive, that's a good thing. It hurts the enemy. You do that enough, then ideally they start to run out of resources. It doesn't seem like Russia ever runs out of shit, though. Yeah, like this expensive drone. Also, there's another one I wanted to show you that's coming up here. This right here, this is a Baba Yaga. These are $25,000-$30,000 drones. It's like stock before they start adding shit to it and make putting ordnance on it or cameras or whatever they do to it. So a couple $100 drone annihilating 25,000-30,000. Love that. Love to see it. And then yeah, these more and more common because this war's been going on for so long, man. There's the routes, the infill and exfil and troop movement routes are so predictable. that these FPV teams just started parking on these roads a little bit off to the side. So when there's an infill vehicle coming up, they literally just go right in front of it. All right. This is one of the most accurate drops I've ever seen from a drone, and I wanted to show you guys. More music, of course. So I don't know if you can see, there's like a little smokestack or chimney just to the right of the crosshairs, like 3 ticks over to the right. He threads it directly into it. That's crazy, dude. I don't even know what that thing was or why they were trying to blow it up. Oh, yeah, I don't know. But that is one of the craziest drops I've ever seen. Let's watch it again. Yeah, look, he's perfectly lining it with that third hash mark. Dude, what? I've seen some accurate drone drops too. I'll tell you guys a little story. The people that don't like to hear me talk are gonna hate this fucking video because I've been talking so much. But actually, I've been getting a ton of comments recently, especially saying how you guys enjoy when I narrate more and talk more. So I appreciate you for that. So I'm trying to do more. We were training. We were in Donbass, but you still continue training once you're deployed, right? You try to keep everything sharp. And our drone team, this was in Azov International Battalion, our international drone team was tracking us through a tree line. So they had training tracking a forward element or like a recon element moving through a tree line. And then it was our team trying to stay unavoidable through the tree line. So it's cool, like dual training. And we were moving through. The drones found us. We knew they found us. And they have the training grenades that are attached to them. So when they drop, they're loud. They spray BBs and smoke and stuff, but they're obviously not lethal. And so we knew it was above us. Everybody's like trying to navigate how best to stay unavoidable and get under the thickest part of the trees or down under a bush, whatever. And there's this telltale sign if you've ever been dropped on by a drone, and it's when the branches start breaking above you. You know that's the oh shit moment. Plus, when you drop a grenade, the fuse pops, so you'll hear the fuse. You'll hear like a fuse pop, and then you hear. You know, you've got a couple of seconds before that thing's exploding somewhere above you. And it dropped right in between me and our team leader at the time. And so we split opposite directions. And this grenade landed on his helmet, on the top of his helmet, and it exploded. And it has all this white powder in it, in these training grenades, so you can kind of see the explosion radius and if it would have got you. And he was just all white, like somebody dumped a bag of flour on him. But extremely accurate, some of these drone pilots, man. Of course, there's an element of luck in all of this, right? Because there's other elements like the sticks it hits on the way down through the trees and the wind, but still, it takes a lot of skill to hit something like that. Oh, yeah, and then there's this one. This deployment I was on with Azov was the first time I had any run-ins with Baba Yaga drones. That's these big ones, these agricultural style heavy lifting drones. They can carry, I used to know this off the top of my head, but the way we would measure the weight is if it could carry an FN Mini-Me, which is like the M249 basically, but the Belgian version, right? The Saab, but the Belgian version. If it was about that weight, we knew the Baba Yagas could carry them, the vampire style drones. Anyways, this is why people hate them. They're scary. They can drop the big boys. Let's see if we can see what kind of ordnance that is. I mean, it's probably something homemade, dude. A lot of these bombs are just styled up in a basement somewhere and strapped onto these drones. Who remembers, man? Drop comments if you've been following this channel long enough to remember when we were watching drone strikes, and when they would hit, it would make like a right when they would drop. I'm sorry, when they would, even FPVs, but FPVs and dropper drones specifically, when they would drop a ordnance, it'd be like off the tank or next to the soldier. It was literally even in 2023 when I was doing combat missions in Kupiansk. The grenades were like so inaccurate and they were small. Like it had to have been a bad day for one of those to hit you, and you were just unlucky as shit. And then even then, it would still, it'd pepper you with shrapnel or something, but very rarely would it kill you unless it landed or unless it exploded like head level. It's crazy how far drone tech has come, man. It's something I talk about a lot, but it's also why I think other nations have a lot to learn from Ukraine and what Ukraine has been doing these last 4 years. Huge advantage. If you look at the silver lining, the positives of being invaded by the second strongest military in the world is you've got 4 years in a peer-to-peer fight or a near peer fight, and that causes when you're kind of at an even level of tech and skill, that causes exponential leapfrogging of tech and innovation, and it's really cool to see, man. You see it all the time. We have a rule of thumb out here that typically the tech, the strategies, the everything changes every 3 months. There's a new style of drone. There's a new way we have to infill and exfil into positions. There's a new way to assault enemy positions. There's a new way to defend. You know what I mean? Everything changes every few months. Very dynamic. So we'll leave it at that, you guys. I hope you like the content of me talking a little bit more and visiting with you guys and sharing my thoughts. So please like, share, subscribe, help me blow this channel up. Let's keep eyes on this war, man. We're going on year 4 in the next 11 days from now. I love you guys. See you in the next video.